evening. The Commission on Elections has suspended the proclamation of partylist groups Duterte Youth and Bagong Henerasyon. The Comelec, who is sitting as the National Board of Canvassers, announced a resolution for suspension during the proclamation of winning party lists on Monday, May 19. Comelec Chairman George Garcia says that the suspension is due to pending petitions against the two party lists.
Considering the serious allegations raised in the above petition, which involve grave violation of election laws, the National Board of Canvassers resolves to suspend the proclamation of the Duterte Youth Party List and Bagong Henerasyon Party List until the speedy and judicious resolution of the petitions filed before the clerk of the commission. So ordered.
Duterte Youth is the second party list with the highest number of votes, garnering more than 2,300,000 votes. The Duterte Youth is supposedly entitled to have 3 House seats. On the other hand, the Bagong Henerasyon or BH party list got more than 300,000 votes, enabling the group to have 1 House seat. With the proclamation suspension of 2 party lists, the Comelec proclaimed 54 party list groups with 63 seats in the 20th Congress. Akbayan party list has been proclaimed first with more than 2,700,000 votes, followed by Tingog party list with more than 1,800,000 votes. Akbayan and Tingog have emerged as the first and third party list groups with the most votes. This makes them eligible for 3 House seats each. President Bongbong Marcos says he is willing to make peace with the Dutertes. In the first episode of President Marcos's podcast, he was asked whether or not he was willing to reconcile with the Dutertes. President Marcos answers in the affirmative. He says that he does not like conflicts and that he wants to get along with everyone. He notes that his main priorities are stability and peace to be able to do their jobs in the government. President Marcos says he is open to work with anyone despite political differences to not cause trouble anymore. Marcos and Vice President Sara Duterte ran under the Unity Team banner in the 2022 national elections. Their political rift became visible after Duterte resigned from her post as Education Secretary last year. Speculation about their falling out was further fueled when the Vice President said she had instructed someone to kill the President, his wife, First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos, and House Speaker Martin Romualdez if she herself would be killed. Former President Rodrigo Duterte had also repeatedly accused Marcos of being addicted to illegal drugs. Meanwhile, Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte previously cursed Marcos and criticized him for allegedly being ungrateful. He claimed that while former President Duterte allowed President Marcos's father, late President Ferdinand Marcos Sr., to be buried at the libingan ng mga bayani, Marcos Jr. in return allowed his father's arrest and transfer to the International Criminal Court. Malacanang says Vice President Sara Duterte's remark expressing a desire to see a bloodbath in her looming impeachment trial was somewhat violent. Vice President Duterte, in an interview in Davao City on Saturday, May 17, said that her legal team's preparations for the impeachment trial at the Senate were at full throttle. Without elaborating, the Vice President added that she truly wants a trial because she wants a bloodbath. In response, Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary Claire Castro says the palace believes that Vice President Duterte's statement should not be taken literally.
Medyo may pagkabayolente ang tugon ng ating Vice Presidente, pero we hope that it is just a figure of speech and it should not be taken literally. Kung yan naman po ang nais niya at talaga naman po magkakaroon ng balitaktakan kapag nagkaroon ng trial, hayaan na lang natin po itong gumulong.
When asked whose blood should be spilled in the impeachment trial, Castro says President Bongbong Marcos would not lay a hand on the matter. The impeachment trial of Vice President Duterte is set to begin on July 30, 2025. The International Criminal Court's Office of the Prosecutor has requested the Pretrial Chamber 1 to extend the deadline of disclosure of the arrest warrant materials as well as the identity of witnesses in former President Rodrigo Duterte's crime against humanity case. In a 7-page document dated May 14, the prosecution notes that there is good cause to extend the disclosure deadline in relation to the arrest warrant materials no later than July 1, 2025. The prosecution also requested to extend the deadline to withhold witness identities related to Duterte's case until June 20, 2025. The prosecution claims that it is unlikely necessary to make applications to withhold the identity of witnesses by the current May 23, 2025 deadline. The prosecution submits that both of the requested extensions are reasonable and consistent with Duterte's rights. The prosecution likewise argued that they are making every effort to conduct its investigative activities in a way that will not affect the disclosure process or the conduct of the confirmation of charges proceedings. The prosecutor of the ICC earlier stated that it has at least 421 documents, 9 photos, and nearly 16 hours of audio and video files that it will use as evidence against Duterte when he faces the tribunal again in September. Duterte was surrendered by the Philippine government to the ICC after being arrested by the authorities in accordance with the warrant of arrest. Duterte initially appeared before the chamber's initial hearing on March 14. The confirmation of charges hearing against Duterte is set on September 23, 2025. The government is set to roll out the 20 peso per kilo rice program in Mindanao starting July. In a briefing on Monday, May 19, Department of Agriculture Secretary Francisco Tiu Laurel Jr. says the program is divided into 3 phases. According to Tiu Laurel, the phase 1 of the program is already implemented in 17 areas nationwide, including Negros Oriental, Samar, Eastern Samar, Negros Occidental, Northern Samar, Leyte, Bohol, Antique, Cebu, Iloilo, and Capiz. It also includes the areas of Biliran, Southern Leyte, Guimaras, Siquijor, Aklan, and Mindoro. Tiu Laurel announces that Phase 2 will cover Zamboanga del Norte, Basilan, Cotabato City, Tawi-Tawi, Maguindanao del Sur, Maguindanao, Davao Oriental, Sorsogon, and Maguindanao del Norte. The second phase, according to Tiu Laurel, will start in July. Meanwhile, the third phase will begin in September in Sultan Kudarat, Lanao del Norte, Catanduanes, Agusan del Sur, Sarangani, and Dinagat Islands. According to the Philippine Statistics Authority's 2023 report, these provinces have the highest poverty incidence. The poverty incidence serves as the basis for the Department of Agriculture in choosing where to implement the program. Furthermore, Tiu Laurel discloses that President Bongbong Marcos has instructed the Department of Agriculture to carry out the program until 2028. Tiu Laurel adds that the program will serve 15 million families.
Inutos na ho ni Presidente sa amin at sa akin na gagawin na natin to hanggang 2028. Yung formula na lang ang basically pinag-uusapan. Meron na kaming idea sa magkano ang magagastos. But in general, ang idea as of the moment is 15 million families ang ating sisilbihan nito. Kung may 5 tao, may 4 na tao bawat pamilya, so that is 60 million people. Tapos yung quantity per month, ina-identify pa, of course.
And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.